On behalf of Communiqué IIT Kharagpur, I extend my warmest greetings to each and every one of you. We are thrilled to begin the second day of our internship training week. I, Ahwan Mukherjee, with my co-host Rashi Agrawal, eagerly anticipate participating in a captivating panel discussion.
Today's objective is to discuss data analytics, a field of immense significance and adaptability. Throughout this discussion, we hope to provide you with valuable insights, answer important questions, and provide the relevant information that you seek. Today, we have the honor of hosting a distinguished panel from IIT Kharagpur who have secured noteworthy internship positions at well-established companies. So, without further ado, let's get to know our panelists first.
First, we have with us Ms. Shachi Jalote, interning at American Express. Shachi, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, sure. Hello everyone. My name is Shachi Jalote, and I'm currently interning at American Express. I am in the department of, like my degree is economics, and I'm from the Department of Humanities and Social Sciences. So yeah, that's me.
Okay, thank you, Shachi. Next, we have Ms.Rhea Sundaresan, interning at Microsoft. Rhea, please introduce yourself.
Sure. Hi guys. Hope you're doing well. My name is Ria. I will now be a fifth year UG, Department of Mathematics. I was at Microsoft last year and I was at CRED last semester and now I'm back at Microsoft. So let's see, hoping for a nice session today.
Thank you, Rhea.
Next we have Mr. Harsh Gupta, interning at Dr. Reddy's Laboratories. Harsh, please introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, my name is Harsh Gupta. I'm in fourth year UG from the Department of Chemical Engineering, and currently I'm in Hyderabad interning at Dr. Reddy's.
Okay, thank you, Harsh. Last but not the least, we have Mr. Akshat Sharma, interning at the American Express. Akshat, please introduce yourself.
Hello guys. My name is Akshat Sharma. I'm fifth year undergraduate student from the Department of Humanities and Social Sciences, and right now I'm in Gurgaon and doing an intern at American Express.
Thank you, Akshat. I extend my heartfelt appreciation to all our panelists for joining us today.
Prior to commencing our panel discussion, I would like to extend my sincere congratulations to our esteemed panelists for their remarkable achievements. We express our anticipation for the invaluable knowledge and insights that each of you will impart.
So, without further ado, let us embark upon our panel discussion. Our first question is, in the light of the abundance of promising opportunities available, it is only natural for aspiring individuals to experience uncertainty when it comes to selecting companies. I would kindly request our esteemed panelists to share their insights on evaluating and sorting through various companies. Harsh, would you like to start?
Yeah, sure. So as there are like pretty less companies in data profile and CDC, so it's always better to have a backup profile. For an example, like you can also prepare for SD or finance with data. So now coming like to sorting companies, one should I think sort the company on the basis of the PPO or the conversion rate, because there are many companies here like which give comparatively less stipend but have like a very good PPO. So I think the only point of internship is like if you are gonna accept if you're gonna take that PPO, because if you're gonna sit for placement next year then it's gonna be the same process. Like people want to get interns because they want to get out of this process soon. So I would say the PPO is the main objective, and the rest is the work culture and all. You guys are aware. So yeah.
Okay. Thank you. That was great. Chachi, would you like to go next?
Yeah, sure. So that is a very good point that Harsh told. Apart from that, I also believe that it totally depends on the skill, like on basically the knowledge that you have. Like if I speak for myself, then I didn't want to do coding at all. I didn't want to do, they want to give tests that involves coding. So that actually filters most of the companies that come for CDC. Apart from that, the other options that were left for me were like to prepare my more aptitude side. So the like just looking at the description of the companies and what level of tests they take, like that some companies take two tests, some company have like a more focused like for example PNG, it focuses a lot on the test in which they take the personal test, like the personality test. So these kind of like looking up to these tests that are more suiting the preparation that I am doing is something which helps to sort the company. So that is how I go went about it to sorting the companies. And yeah, if it helps more than also seeing that what are your expectations from yourself. Like some people come with the thought that they don't want to sit after day 4, they don't want to sit after day 5. So also looking at that perspective, if you want to see, then yeah, definitely go for that. uh, and then put a filter on what skill set you have, and will you be able to like score, do you have a good chance in scoring good in the test that you're sitting for, so that you don't waste your time.
Thank you, Shachi. Ria and Akshat, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, so I think Shashi and Harsh have put forward great points from like the selection and CDC point of view of things. I think I'd like to offer a different perspective, which is like more future oriented. So, I mean, internships and first jobs are like the very, very start of your career. So, I believe that as an applicant, your focus should be more on what kind of impact you can create with the work you're doing, what kind of project you'll be given, and how much upskilling you'll be able to have in that particular role, rather than focusing on stipend and perks and things like that this early in your career. I think it's a lot better to have like a very high impact role at a smaller company because it gives you more credibility as like a data scientist itself. And then also during the internship, I think it's a great time to network and talk to as many people as you can within the company to like find out about things that matter to you. Like maybe it's about the company culture, the work hours, how the management treats you, things like that. And it's a great time to vet your company as a first job kind of place. So these two things I think are a good way to filter companies.
Thank you, Ria. Akshat, would you share your views also?
Yeah, so sorting a company, the person should sort a company on the basis of the like job descriptions also, as earlier Sachi and Harsh have mentioned. So in job description, it is written that what are the responsibility that you'd be giving at the time when you are doing an internship at that company. So on the basis of that too, you should think that this company would be better for me or not. And even just talking with the different seniors that they might have done an intern in that company or doing a job in that company, that will be also good. Like you'll be able to get to know that about the work culture of that company. So and everyone have covered this all points. So that's all. What can I say?
Thank you all. That was really insightful.
Moving to the next question, panelists, could you please tell the audience what is the generalized selection procedure for the companies, the number of rounds, and the nature of the processes for the companies that you interviewed for? Akshat, can you please share your thoughts on this?
General company selection process. So I was a placement coordinator also, so I can answer this better way. At the time of company selection, so first the company generally they take the test. So it depends upon different profiles in which you are applying. So if you are going for the product profile, then there will be like a CV. You can say that they will just shortlist on the basis of CV, and then they will give some of the cases and other stuffs. And after that, the interview goes on. But for the software and data profile, you can say that first of all, there would be one or two tests max to max. Each company just take, and after that, on the basis of the test of the what is the performance of that students, and even on the basis of their CVs, they just shortlist the students for the final interview round. And it totally depends upon the company that how many rounds they want to take. But at max the company can take 3 rounds, and after that they generally give the result, and you'll be just that person will be selected in that company. So it is a general company process.
I understand. That was a great point. Ria, would you like to respond to the question?
Sure. So I think Akshat covered like the on-campus part pretty perfectly, but I think I can speak for off-campus because both of my internships have been off-campus so far. So in off-campus, what I find is when you approach someone for a referral or a chance to sit for an interview, they're a lot more lenient with your CV. There's not necessarily like a sharp CG cutoff in what I've noticed in the applicants. And once they forward you the referral or whatever, it's pretty straightforward, pretty similar to CDC from that point on. There's generally a coding test first. It's obviously easier than SD intern test. The level of CP is not that high. It's max it'll go to is lead code medium, if I can compare. And you might also get asked a couple of ML theory questions in the initial screening round. And after that online test, you can go on to either 2 or 3 interviews, and they'll be taken by like an increasing level of seniority within the company. So your first might be taken by just a recently joined employee, and your ending time interviews might be taken by managers or senior data scientists. And yeah, again, those are also in a pretty increasing level of difficulty. And after those 2 or 3 interviews, yeah, that's the time when they offer you the position.
It was nice listening to you. Harsh and Shachi, would you like to add anything onto it?
I mean, both of them covered all the points. I guess.
Yeah, same here. Like, yeah, they covered it, so it's fine. I think, yeah, yeah, they covered it. Yeah.
Okay, that was great.
Thank you. Now, getting to one of the most important questions. What are the different necessary skills that are needed in order to grab an internship in the data profile? Would any of the panelists like to respond to this question? Shachi, would you like to start?
Sure. So so the main things in data profile, I think the first most important thing for me, specifically if you go through CDC, I'm speaking of on campus. I think Ria can share about off campus. What was for me was probability and statistics. That's the most important thing. It's everywhere. Even if you go for any finance profile like DB or JP Morgan profile do come that doesn't come for finance. Yeah, I'm sorry. DB, if you take for DB, Nomura, all these profiles do ask questions related to prop stat. And in data, if I speak for Amex, JPMC, they also ask questions for prop stat. So preparing prop stat end to end is very important. Even it helps in companies like if you ask for me JPMC Quant, they see that if you have done your aptitude part, the mathematical part is very strong and you've scored really well, and you aren't able to answer the CP questions. I think there are only 2 CP questions in JPMC first paper. If you're not able to answer them that much correctly, you don't pass all the test cases, but your aptitude is strong, they still consider you. And then your interview is also more oriented towards the aptitude part of it, and obviously on your CV too. So I think probability statistics is really important. Obviously, if you are going for like other companies specifically, I think apart from Amex, most of the companies ask coding questions. So preparing a little bit of coding, just the basic stack queue level is fine to go good to go with. But I think I will rate that below props probability and statistics. Apart from that, be very thorough with your CV. It's lot more oriented on your CV. Even the other questions that they ask are oriented towards your CV. So be thorough with your CV. That is the third point that I would make. And yeah, if specifically for data, or if you're like writing any model that you have applied in any of your project and internship, then just be thorough with that specifically. If it's an NLP model, then you should know all of the NLP models that are there. So be thorough with that. If there's an ML model, then you should be very specific to know about all the ML models because they will ask questions here and from here and there. So that is there. But like an overview, yeah, be ready for for the aptitude test. That's from my side.
Thank you, Shachi. That was worth listening to. Akshat, kindly share your thoughts.
Yeah, so necessary skill set that the person required are like even like some of the companies there is a CGP criteria also. So if you have a really good CGPA, then that skills that also matter for the companies. And rather than from you can say that the projects that you have done, the earlier internship that you have like grabbed from like in other companies, that also really matter. And also you can say that the algorithm and ML, this kind of things. So for the data profile, it is quite like you can say that every company just asks these things. Like they will just find something in your CV that which is just related to data. So they will ask the questions in the deep in data, like some of the model RMN or like KCMT, this kind of models. They generally ask these questions. And after that, in your internship, like if you have done any internship, they will definitely ask these things like what you have done actually in the internship, and if it is related to data, then they will go in deep in that one. But the thing is like it is not even that compulsory that doing an internship or any previous projects that matter always, because like the company who is coming for the data, they can even just see the CV. Like in my CV, there was nothing as mention of data, but like there was something mention of the software profiles and other stuff. So they were asking me regarding like software also in at the time of interviews. So these are the skill set that the students should require.
Thank you, Akshat. Ria, would you like to add anything else towards the oriented towards the off-campus side?
Yeah, so I think we on the interview level skills into like five categories in decreasing order of priority. The first is ML theory. With ML theory, I think most people tend to overlook the fact that ML models are essentially mathematical functions, right? So I think it's important to know the mathematical basis behind all those functions, and also how, for example, you have different parameters in all these models. You have K and KNN, number of trees and random forest, so on. I think it's important to know how the functioning of the model changes with those parameters. That's a very common question or a very common concept that's followed by interviewers when asking questions. Secondly is your CV projects. Now, if I was to boil it down into like one sentence, in every project in your CV, you should be able to justify why you took every step and why you did not choose any of the alternative steps that were present. If I went with a BERT model for my NLP project, why didn't I use fast text? Why didn't I use transformers or whatever, so on. I should be able to justify not only why I did what I did, but why also the other options failed. And that's something they definitely grill you on over there. The third is math. Yeah, like Shachi covered, JE level, prop stats, that kind of aptitude level is more than enough for these interviews. The fourth is application-based questions. So they can give you very open-ended questions saying, you have this kind of data, their objective is this, tell me what kind of feature engineering you'll do. Now, this is something that requires a lot of hands-on experience with projects, and it's not something you can acquire by just studying courses or solving questions. So that really shows like the importance of building something from ground up, where you'll face these kinds of problems and you'll be forced to make these kinds of decisions. And the last part is CP. Again, it's not that much of a priority. If you know basic object-oriented programming, if you're just in touch with a certain level of STL or CP or whatever it is, you should be able to breeze through it pretty easily. There's no difficult questions that I've seen so far in data profiles.
Thank you, Ria. That was great. Harsh, would you like to add something?
I mean, I think all of them put out great points. It's just I feel that one should have the knowledge of all like basic ML models and basic terminologies like bargaining, boosting, or bias variance. I feel even if you haven't mentioned a specific ML model like basic ML like k-means or something, so they can still ask about that. But I feel about deep learning, they're pretty specific about what you have mentioned in your CV. For an example, if I have done more NLP and I've worked with BERT and all, I don't think they'll ask you towards computer vision specifically. So it's the DL part is I think pretty specific because I think it's very vast. No one can study whole deep learning like every aspect of it. So I feel uh, the deep learning part is pretty like it's more on your CV side. If you have mentioned some models or something, then they'll go deep into that. And like maths is always plus to know if you know like exactly how model works. So it's like nice. And as Sachi said, prof stats are like one of the most important things because it's part of the part of the test. So I think getting the test cleared and getting an interview is the most important thing in the CDC. Getting interviews is I think comparatively pretty easy. getting a shortlist in the interview. So I think that's one of the most important part. And CP though, as Rhea said, like medium level lead code, I think it's enough. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. That was really insightful.
Moving on, given the number of applicants looking for internships at a company to be very massive, I would like to hear from the panelists about what makes a candidate stand out and what constitutes the ideal CV for a data profile that the interviewer looks for. And are online courses worth mentioning in it? Harsh, can you please share your thoughts on this?
Sure. So, like the data interview, like as we previously said, it's mostly on revolves around the CV. What have you done and what haven't you done? So, like, try to do like if anyone has prior internships, it's always a plus. But even if you don't have an internship, try to make good projects. The project that actually add value to your CV. So it's always a plus point. And usually the projects are most important because they'll ask specifically towards that project only. So basically, you can guide the interview towards what you wanted them to ask you. So it's better that way if you do good projects on them. And one tip I could give is try to quantify your CV as much as possible. Try to mention which data set you use. Try to quantify like F1 score, accuracy, or like I feel there should be like if you're writing 4 points, there should like three data values should be there, like about the data set, about the F1 score, which models you use, which baseline model you use, how did you further improve it, and everything. Try to make them feel that you actually did the project, and this way you can actually guide them to what they should even ask you. And like be thorough with your like CV because they'll go in very depths of like whatever you mention on it. And about the online courses, I feel like if you have like trouble like filling your CV, then it's fine. But I don't think they exactly look for online courses or they'll ask questions about online courses. The online courses, this can give you one edge. It's like at the end of every online project, there is a course. So like you can actually like write that particular course project there. But I don't think like many courses have like much impact on it.
Okay, thank you, Harsh. Shachiria and Akshat, we would like to hear from you guys as well on this.
Sure. I think I can go first. So, in terms of internship or project, if you have enough things to fill your CV, then I also agree with Harsh's point to not like it's not that important that you mention online courses. I believe one other thing that is very important is how many different languages you have learned. Like I think that is a very good point that you can mention it on your CV, like software basically, how many different software you can work on. So SQL is one that people, specifically Adobe, do look for people that know SQL. Amex specifically looks is good with Python. Then if you mention all these languages that you know, then that thing I think that is also a very and even the software platforms that you have worked with. If you're writing a project or internship and you mention one line that I have like learned this, I worked on this particular software, I worked on this, I use this particular language, that also is a very good add-on point on your internship or CV. Sorry, in your internship or project. And I would also say that I think and I would also say that like if there are specific courses that you have done in your department which are like helping you to align towards data, then that's also very good. Like I remember that I have a course named econometrics in my department. So I have done work on data, a very simple course, but I did highlight the bullet points of it. And the most of my questionnaire in my first round was around that course. So find these kind of courses you're just like which are very quantifiable that are very quantified, as Harsh mentioned. If you are able to find points that you can show that I did quantify this, I did quantify that, then that's a very good point. And the third thing is that if you're very clear about like when you prepare for a company, like you say that I'm interested in this company because this is what the business does and I'm oriented towards it, and if your CV shows that, then just add it to your point. Like for example, again, Amex is in credit card business, And if I say that I am interested into finance and I have something that orients towards finance in my CV, so I would just say that I specifically did this project that tells me about this field, and just to bring that point in the person who is taking your interview, that you have a knowledge about it and you did something about it. So it's like a trick that they will ask you more questions about it, and you are also like, you are actually like tricking him to ask you the questions that you have prepared about the most. So that's actually a good trick that you can use. And yeah, it also gives them an edge about you that you have already worked on the like the business that they are already in. I would say that is also important. That is something that you can go about it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for your valuable inputs. Ria and Akshat, can we hear from you guys as well?
Yes. So I just like to add a couple of points, a little bit of insider information, if you will, kind of specific to the recent times. I think it's very good to add a project which has the use of some LLM in it, because in the industry, it's everywhere. I mean, I'm seeing it in my co-ML interns, co-SD interns across companies. A lot of our work revolves now around using GPT, DaVinci, whatever it is, and a lot of prompt engineering. So I think for the current times, and I want to predict like for the next internship season as well, this is something that would, it's very relevant to companies' business needs nowadays, and it would stand out a lot on someone's CV if they can, if they're knowledgeable about it, if they have work that revolves around it. And the next part, which I think gets overlooked a lot in self projects, but is actually a very relevant piece of work in company work, is data engineering. So I think my co-panelists can relate when I say that getting data in the form you want it from the sources you need in a correct format, in a clean format, is a huge headache. And it's something that we're not really faced with in projects we take up by ourselves, because you have clean data sets ready. So if you can showcase that you have experience in this kind of work, exploratory data analysis, feature engineering, things like that, I think it's kind of an uncommon thing to showcase on, an internship level CV, and it can help you stand out. So yeah, these are just two things I'd like to add.
Thank you, Ria. Akshat, can you go next? Hello, Akshat, am I audible? Okay, we shall move to the next question then.
Okay, so the next question. How much impact do previous internships and doing projects help in cracking an internship in the data profile? Ria, would you like to start?
So I think we've covered it a little bit previously in the interview question when I said that you should be able to defend your projects properly and justify each choice you made and why you took that path. Apart from that, I think it's good to not have a very general CV. I think it's good to orient your projects into one niche of ML, because it's so vast. There's so many domains you can go into. It's more impactful if you go a little deeper into one niche. Like I was always NLP oriented, so all my projects kind of revolved around that kind of thing. Not only does it help you guide your interview into a certain direction, it also limits the scope of questions you'll be asked, right? Because if I've never touched computer vision, I'm not going to be asked about CNNs or something like that. So the interviewers themselves can be understanding of that. Um and projects are, like I said, if you can, with your self projects, reflect industry trends and like what, if you can emulate what goes on in the corporate world in terms of projects, I think it's pretty solid. Yeah.
Thank you, Ria. Shachi, would you like to go next?
Yeah, sure. Speaking about like internship and projects in general, so specifically in the data profile, it doesn't utna zyada matter that what. One second, give me a second.
Hello,
Yeah,
Shachi, am I
sorry about
audible?
that. Sorry about that. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, you're
no.
audible. Yeah.
Yeah, you can
So
continue.
yeah, yeah, I was saying that it, like specifically in the data profile, it doesn't that much matter that you have a brand name or what not in your internship or project. What matters more is how much impact you have created through that internship or project. So the content is very important. Yes, it is, and definitely getting good internships and projects on your CV is important. So be very thoughtful about what projects and internships you are adding in your CV. So, and always orient your CV towards a specific niche area, as Ria also mentioned. So, if my like for me, is it was more working on the ML models. So my CV was also oriented towards it. And not only on the models, I was more on the analytical side of it, like analysis, not modeling, but analysis. So my CV was also oriented towards that. And when you're given a chance to introduce yourself and like just give a brief about your CV, then just mention those points that you're very thorough with and you're very good to like go with if more questions are being asked. So that is there. And adding to that, I believe if you are having competitions, then do write it on your CV. With if you're like you have done projects, you are putting projects of your own department and you don't have that much internship, but you have gone through competitions, even like as a participant, but it's a big competition and you have built a model through the process, then that's also fine. You can write it in your CV, so that will also give a great impact in that terms.
Thank you, Shachi. Harsh, Akshat, would you like to add anything else?
Uh, yeah, I think almost everything is covered, but I feel as Sati said, like people can also mention like the competition which are held in KGP, like Open IIT, or even like GC, like even in that there is data analytics and everything. So like you guys can even mention that since usually those are like good to write, and you will usually have help with seniors to even frame your points. And I think projects and internships are like one of the most important parts of your CV for especially data profile. So and as everyone said, like the content is like the most important thing. So yeah, I think it's pretty important, and I think all the points rest are covered.
Thank you, Harsh. Akshat, would you go on next?
Yeah, I just want to tell you one thing more that this impact of like internship and the project in CV that also impact at a time like when you are doing an intern in company. So like based on your CV, even like you are given that like there is like there is director or VP in the company, then they just see their CVs and in that group like or in that team you'll be just working at that time itself also. So you should mention a really good point in the CVs like related to data as earlier like Harsh and even Sachi have mentioned. So even the competition, as Sachi have mentioned, that competition, any competition that you have done, you should mention that one also if it is related to really data or even related to software profile. That would be really fine because like the company also know that like you don't know that much as at that time. You only have done some kind of projects or internship or competition. So they generally ask the questions on the basis of your CVs. So internship and the project, it's quite important. So if you can even it's like 1 month or like 1.5 month that is left. So in this time also you can do internship, not internship, but you can do the projects and just participate in the competitions.
Thank you all for your valuable inputs.
Now moving on to the next question. Data analytics being a vast domain, there's a lot to cover. Could you please tell the audience what would be the most important and not to be missed kind of topics to prepare for, and how did you all prepare for them? Akshay, can you please share your thoughts on this?
Yeah, like earlier, like Sachi and other also have mentioned these things. Like an important topic. First of all, like prob and stat. That is really important at all. Like in every data profile, in every company, if you're applying for data profile, they will definitely ask you about the prob and stats. And secondly, you can say that algorithms. So a few companies just ask about the algorithms random forest or RN and KNN, this kind of model. They generally ask about this models, like how this works and Other thing that you can say that mm, yeah, that's it. Like even the aptitude kind of thing that is also important in interview perspective. But these are all the things that would be required for the data profile.
That was a really valuable input. Shachi, would you like to go next?
Yeah, sure. Like, I think this has already been covered in the previous question. I think we can go to the next question, if that's fine.
Ria and Harsh, like, do you have anything to add on to this?
Yeah, cool. So I think for a beginner, I don't think there's a better starting point than the Andrew course on Coursera if you're a complete beginner. I think most people jump too quickly into the coding side of things. And I think it's absolutely vital that you first understand like the algebra, the calculus, the PNS that goes on, and the derivations behind algorithms so that you can really understand the applications of them, what kind of data sets they work on, in which cases they don't work. I think once you get the math behind it correct, the coding, I mean, anyone can, call a scikit-learn library and learn a model. That's not the difficult part. I think the most important part is learning the mathematical derivations behind them. So I think once you're solid with those, the aptitude part is
Oh, hello, Ria. I think there's an issue with your audio.
Yeah, I actually just wanted to add one point. I think till the time she's reconnecting. Um, as she's like completing the part of what kind of model should be covered, I think I also want to touch upon like go to Algorithm and do first 4 to 5 weeks of Algorithm course. I think when I say like the basic CP, like you should know the basic CP if you're sitting for CDC on campus, data profiles also ask questions on CP, then at least be prepared till that level. Anyone who hasn't done CP before, there is still time that you can learn basic DSA through AlgoZenith. They have structured it in a very good way. Uh, and yeah, just do the first 4 to 5 weeks of AlgoZenith. That will be enough for you to prepare for any kind of CP questions that will come for the data question rounds. Just wanted to add that. Yeah, Ria, you can continue.
yeah, I hope I'm audible now. Sorry, the Wi-Fi is a bit
Oh,
choppy here.
yes. Yes, you're audible.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, cool. No, I think we can move on. I was just, trying to drive the point home that the most time of your preparation should be geared towards understanding the math because data is a very, very math-oriented profile. And rather than, focusing on just blindly coding, if you understand the models, it'll make your life a lot easier. Yeah.
I just want to add one point. For theoretical, I mean, you can refer a channel name is Start Quest by Josh Stammer. I think it's one of the best courses for like understanding because something maths can be very daunting and like you will like what all like, many equations and everything. So just I feel that channel really helped me a lot. So like if you just like even the concepts like neural network, he explains it in a very good way. So you can refer to that. And yeah, just we can move on.
Okay, thank you. That was a really insightful reply.
So moving forward, the next question. What can be the best way to prepare for general aptitude and probability and statistics questions? And what would be the ideal time to start focusing on them? Priya, would you like to give your suggestion?
Sure. I think we've kind of glossed over this already in the previous questions. I don't think there's an ideal time to start learning PNS. I think it's very intertwined with the whole learning of ML itself. So you can start doing it parallelly. There is a book called Word on the Street, but I think that is like very overkill because that's more for quant level PNS, which I have personally never seen in any data science interviews. The questions I've faced and seen so far, both in mine and others' interviews, both on and off campus, have been majorly J level. So if you can just revise those level of concepts like expectation, variance, all of those are the main ones that I've seen. I think you're good to go. Yeah.
Okay, that was really helpful. Harsh, Akshat, would you like to add something?
You can also practice on GFG, and like there are, I think, many resources available for that. Like one was GFG, like for puzzles you can use Brainscaler, and like there's also a book called 60 Challenging Problems of Probability. So I think it's also for quant, but I think if you have time, you can't do it. Like it's very mainstream, like it's a very famous book. And yeah, I just
Thank you,
forgot one
Harsh.
thing. Like for aptitude, you can also like practice previous CAT papers. Like if you have 15 days left and you want to like actually practice aptitude, practice previous year CAT papers. I think it's the questions are similar to those only in our internship test.
Thank you, Harsh. Akshat, would you like to share your suggestion?
Yeah, like Riya and Harsh have mentioned everything. Like so, like I don't have any add-on in this.
Okay. And Shachi, do you have something to share?
Specifically for PropStat, what I followed was, so I was someone who didn't had like not like I left PropStat back in JE also, so I had to do it from scratch. So I used a resource called it's of Harvard School. I think it's PropStat 101. It's available on YouTube. It has like around 20 to 25 of video lectures, and it covers prob and stat end to end. And I just watched it thoda upar upar se, and I was good to go. After that, I just focused on practicing more. And yeah, GFG, Brainstellar, all these resources were good enough to go for practicing the questions. So that is there. And there are like, I would definitely say that probably in data, the questions don't come from 50 challenging problems and heard on the street, but specifically if someone is focusing on JPMC data, because I think they do come for ML profile, but the question paper is same. So if someone is wanting to focus on that, then they directly ask questions from those two sources or from the source that I mentioned previously of YouTube. So someone who is very oriented towards JPMC can definitely go through that.
That was great. Thank you, Shachi.
Just one more point, like for province stats, you can also refer to like it's a KGP of Swanand Kare also. Like those lectures are also very good if anyone wants to study PNS. So I think that's also a very good source for like this like theory of PNS.
Okay, thank you, Harsh.
Going to the next question. What, according to you, is the level of DSA preparation required to ace the interview round? Harsh, would you like to answer the question?
I think yeah, as we all previously said, I think basic level of DSA is required. Like as Sachi said in before, like I think Algo Zenith, like if you haven't started CP8, I think Algo Zenith is the like best option you got because it's got everything structured. Even I studied from Algo Zenith only, and I think many people in KGP do that. So yeah, exactly like 5 6 week. Just see a bit of till greedy. Don't go exactly in DP and graphs. They won't ask questions, but they might ask a bit of greedy question because it's basically sorting. So I think you can practice till there and like do a lot of interview bit. I would say like since I would say CP is very important. Because I think only like AMX and one or two companies don't ask CP. Otherwise, every other company asks at least one or two DSA questions. So I would say do a lot of interview bit, not a lot of interview bit, just like you can practice some interview bit too because they are usually standard questions and they can give them in test too. So I think algorithm and interview bit will be enough for that.
Akshat, would you like to add anything on to this?
Yeah, so the TSA prep, that is not that much required. Like in the companies, they generally ask about the CVs. But yeah, the basic, as Harsh have said, that like you should see the algorithmic. Like you can do the 4 to 5 weeks of algorithmic, but that will also help you to even this thing happened with everyone that they are not very sure that whether they are going with the TSA like a data profile or the software profile. So while doing AlgoZenith also you will just get to know about the DS, and it would also help you to just grab other like companies also which are coming for the software profile. So like doing an like DSA in till AlgoZenith, that would be really fine. But majorly just focus on the prob stats part and the theory part of algorithm. The theory parts which is required for the data profile.
Thank you, Harsh. Ria, would you like to go next?
Yeah, I would just like to add a tip which has personally helped me with DSA because it's never been my strong suit. I've always been really bad at CP. So there is a website called glassdoor.com by which you can sort through companies and see like what are the most frequently asked topics in DSA by them for these interviews. And some companies really have preferred topics. Like for Microsoft, they love asking about linked list and trees. So before my second round interview, I actually went through these topics, and turns out it actually got asked on the interview. So it's a very helpful resource to help you sort like topics company wise, so you can prioritize which topics to focus on in the last moments.
Thank you, Ria. Uh, Harsh, would you like to add something?
I already like said, and like that was Akshat which you
Okay.
said Harsh before. So yeah.
Okay. Shachi, would you like to go next?
Yeah, sure. So I think everyone have added their points. Yeah, I don't have anything to add much. I already
Okay,
mentioned
thank you.
about the DSA part, so
We can go to the next question then.
Okay. So the next question is, what is the ideal roadmap for students preparing for the data profile in the next 1 month, and how can they utilize it up to the maximum extent? So, Ria, would you like to start?
Okay, cool. So if I had a month left, I think I would divide my time like focusing on with the first 2 weeks just on math. And by math, I mean like the derivations behind models and understanding how they work. And for the last couple of weeks that you have left, I would say pick like a niche or a certain segment of ML, be it if you want to just go purely into data analysis, if you want to go into NLP, into vision, whatever it is, pick a good use case and make a project from scratch, including like manipulation of data. I think a month is a little bit tight to kind of learn ML from scratch for interviews, but if you focus your priorities based on the interviews, then I think it's pretty doable. So yeah, first learn like the theory behind them and don't jump into coding right away. After that, you can pick up a project and start learning APT and PNS by the side. That's how I would spend the next month.
Okay, thank you. Akshat, would you like to add something?
Yeah, so the roadmap for the next month would be first of all, majorly just focus on the DSA part, because I earlier I've told you that like it might happen that you might not be get shortlisted in the data profile of other companies, but you'll be just shortlisted in the software profile. So just focus on the DSA part first, and meanwhile you can just give time to the like prob and stats and even the algorithm things this would also help in the data profile. But majorly just don't focus on only one profile. You should have like one backup for you some other profile in which you can even do the intern. So that even happened with everyone. Like I was also not interested in that much in the data profile, but I got shortlisted in data and not in the software profile. So this thing happened with everyone. So, and even at the time of the interview, if you perform very well, then you can just go ahead with that profile also. So I should just tell you that just focus on the DSA part, and don't do any internship right now. That will be really hectic for you, because like for the product profile, that is quite needed. That doing an intern right now can help you in the interview. But if you haven't done any internship, then just focus on the project, DSA, and and algorithms of the data, like some algorithms. That's it.
Thank you, Akshat. Harsh and Shachi, please share your advices.
Okay,
sure.
so yeah,
Yeah,
Shachi,
yeah,
you
Harsh, you can go first.
Okay. So I would just say like also try to make your CV beforehand. Like you should have your all the point. Like try to make if you have already done some projects, try to frame your like what are the 4 or 3 lines you're gonna write for the project beforehand only, because making CV on the CV portal, I think everyone can relate. It's like very like bad. So just try to make everything before and you'll be at peace. And the rest, if 1 month is left, I would say like if short notes work for you, try to make for ML like algos if it works for you. If it doesn't, then don't. And just like study basic ML, DNS and aptitude. Like that's all.
Thank you. That was really insightful. Shachi, do you have any other advice?
I would just like try to, like as Ria mentioned, that divide the time into 15 days. So like my first 15 days would more be focused on that what I have been preparing before this, just to revise it a lot. If you're mentioning specifically subjects in your CV, like for example, I did mention important subjects that were relevant because I had a micro, like if you, for example, have a micro specialization in AI or aiming for that, or you have done courses in that, and you're mentioning that in your CV, which is a good thing, then you should know in and out about that subject. So, like, I would say first 15 days, just keep it for revising or prepping all the things that are being needed for the CDC. And other 15 days then should more be focused on what you have written in your CV. And you should know in and out about that and start preparing a doc where you have to write points that, okay, I did do bold this, I did have a like a bold statement of a model. So I need to know in and out of this model. What are the hyperparameters? How can I change it? How can I improve it? That like the what all the points Ria mentioned in the previous questions. And what are things are important? So like just start preparing that doc for the other 15 days. But for the start 15 days, just revise and study all the things that are important or what you have been preparing beforehand. And secondly, as Akshat mentioned, that keeping a backhand is very important. So for me, my backhand was finance. So I did prepare a little bit around finance, and that was also very much company oriented and what was written on my CV. So I would just say don't just beat around the bush. Be very specific with your preparation. If only 1 month is left, just cut down the companies that you're aiming for and see what they ask. Reach out to the seniors that are doing an internship or did their placement there, and just let them like just tell them that this is your preparation being and how you should go about it. So I think that would help you a lot. So be very specific in your preparation, and if just one is being read, and yes, prepare a backup. That's very important.
Thank you, Shachi.
If I can just emphasize on what Harsh said about not modifying the CV, like I personally remember 1 week before the interviews, I had updated my profile picture on my CV and like all the bullet points got wiped away. So like please don't touch your CV on the CDC portal a week to a week and a half before the interviews. You might regret it like greatly. Yeah, that's all.
Okay, that was nice to hear. Thank you. We can move on to the next question.
Now with the CDC right around the corner, what are some last minute strategies to finally like revise and summarize all the different topics and subjects learned? Shachi, would you like to begin?
Yeah, sure. So, as we were discussing in the previous question itself, that Akshat mentioned that DSA is important. So, if so that's how, like, if you're preparing notes, so just give a revision on PropStat, look at the mathematical intuition, what are the different models that are there in ML or NLP. If your more work is towards DL, then focus on that. If your more work is towards ML that you mentioned on your CV, then focus on that and just go through the mathematical concepts of each and everything that you have been prepping. Same is with PropStat. What are different, like in PropStat, there are different kind of uh, functions that you have. So just you need to know the expectation, the variance of each one of them. So keep a cheat sheet handy and just try to go through that. That would be the second thing. And in terms of DSA, if you have prepared or if you have been preparing, just go on different websites like Interview Bit, etc. to practice. So for CP, I would just say practice. Even for PropStat, once you have done the revision, it will just take you like 2 hours or 1 hour of or like revision, and then just go out there and practice on different websites like Brainstellers, Geeks. Even on Interview Bit, it's there. So just practice a lot. That's what I would say. And if you're able to get previous year questions, because I think matlab, if there are available, then maybe that is something that you can also use at handy. So I think that will be the last moment preparations, and then start focusing on your CV and what questions can come from your CV, and start preparing about that and prepare a doc about it. Like I did that, every bullet point, every bold point that I mentioned in my CV, I need to know about it so that if they directly look at a bold point and they ask me, I know the answer. So that is something that you should focus on a lot.
Thank you, Shachi. That was very helpful. Harsh, would you share your thoughts on same?
I mean, what Sachi said is very important, that you guys have to make a doc of every point in CV which you make, because there will be cross question, and if you already know what are the possible questions, then you can easily answer them. So I would say it's very important. And like for the last minute prep, I would say like try to be more company specific, since you have already know like what are your dream companies or in which company do you want to go. So like try to like there like even for DSA, like there are specific company questions in interview bit or different places you can like practice that, and you can even ask seniors of like who got into that particular company, that what kind of exact, like because every company has different test procedure. For example, like GS and Adobe hires from a single test, but for uh, HD and research and data and everything, Adobe does from one single test. So all of that, if you're aware from before, like it's gonna help you. And like like previously I said, like if you like if short notes work for you, do make them. It really helps in the last time revision.
Thank you, Harsh. That was really insightful. Ria, would you like to add anything?
Yep. So I think we've already touched on this channel before, StatQuest. It's a beautiful channel. It's like my favorite resource for last minute prep. How I spend my last 2 to 3 days before interview is like madly binging the videos on this channel, because they're great to revise both it's very visually explained, every concept. So it's like crystal clear once you go through it. And they have videos not only about ML topics, they have DL topics, they have videos on clustering methods, on metrics, everything that you need for a basic ML interview. And I personally have also been asked like to derive things on pen and paper on the spot. So revise those for sure without any help in the last moment. And the last aspect is like the HR round, right? I think it's a good time to start prepping for the HR round the day before your interview. So you can be sure of two things that you'll be asked. One is why XYZ company, and the second is do you have any questions for me at the end of the interview? So make sure you research the background of the company you're going for. Make sure you have clever questions, clever points to add for these two, because it's a great way to stand out at the end. Soft skills are very important, obviously, and a little bit of more than average preparation for the HR round can go a long way, especially in CDC where stuff is very random and there's a lot of applicants for each position.
Thank you, Ria. That was really insightful. Akshat, would you like to share your last moment strategies?
Yeah, so I just want to tell you like few of the cases that happened last year. So like the person, like many person have really good knowledge about the data, but as Ria said that the HR part, like that is quite important. And even you have really good like skills in the data, but at the when there is an HR round, then some of the person they might not perform that good. So just prepare for the like HR part first. That is really good, and you can just prepare it like you can just tell one of your friend like he can just ask you few questions related to the HRs, and then that will be really good. And otherwise like many students just make a notes I have also I had like notes related to like prob and stat, which was really helpful for me at the last point. And yeah, that's all that you can do at the last time preparation.
Thank you, Akshat.
So this is the end of our questions. Now we would like to take up questions from the audience. I can already see many questions in the chat box and they have also been answered. So if still any unanswered query remains, you can all post it in your chat box.
And if any of our panelists find some questions that they would like to answer from the chat box, they're free to do so.
Yeah, I can't see the chat, so just give me a minute. I'll rejoin the meeting.
Okay.
Even I also cannot see the chat. It's like, is it like a permission or something issue?
So we have one question from Vishnuvardhan. What kind of project should be added on CV? Can we do guided projects, learn and add them to CV? Because it is harder for a beginner to work on a project from scratch, considering the time left for CBC. Would any of the panelists like to address the question?
Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
So I cannot remember the name of that channel specifically. It's of some Mexican guy, Nicholas something. He actually makes a lot of videos around projects of DLML, and these are like very good working projects. So like, if anyone can ping me, like I'll send them the link of the channel. Something Nicholas something. I don't exactly remember. So even I did one project from that video only. So basically, he starts building the project from scratch. It's like usually 1 hour video or like 30 minutes video, and I think these are decent enough projects to put in CV. So you can refer to that, and there are a lot of GitHub links available too. So if you have the code, like you can try to implement it yourself.
Okay, thank you, Harsh. Anyone else would like to add anything? So, okay, now I'll move to the next question. Next question we have from Himanshi Gupta. Can you please mention the topics of DSA to be prepared for instead of saying the name of the course? Like she wants the details of topics.
Oh yeah, okay. I can take this a little bit. So I would recommend ki once you have the companies that you're aiming for, you go through the frequently asked topics. Again, there's websites like Glassdoor and GFG which have company-wise topics available, and they generally revolve around like string manipulation, array manipulation, linked list, and trees. I don't think you'll see many problems from DP graphs and definitely not trees. Sorry, tries. Trees will be there. Tries will not be there. So you can start like beginner to advanced level, start with basic stuff like arrays and strings. I think once you reach the point where you can confidently do tree-based questions, I think are good enough for most companies. There is a couple of profiles like APT data, and because they're from an HFT background, they will naturally require a higher level of CP. But I think for a majority of companies, you should.
Okay.
That was nice listening to you.
So moving on to the next question asked by Vidya Sagar. Do they ask us to code? But how can you implement any particular algorithm from importing this library during an interview?
Rashia, I have answered this question, so we can go ahead with other
Yeah.
questions.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we can go ahead. So, one question we have was someone preparing for finance and data. What are the basic DSA things that one should know about?
Okay, I think I can take this up. Specifically, if I say of like for me, I was also for data and finance profile. In that case, I just focused on companies more, as Ria also mentioned. So I just focused on JPMC. If I say for the first till day 4, if I speak, I focused on JPMC. Apart from that, Standard Chartered, I think also was one of them I focused on. Adobe I did, but Adobe asked for SQL, so I think that was something which I didn't use, so that was there. So the specific questions that they expect you in CP, like they give you like one or two questions of CP, and you need not be like to pass each and every test case. If your logic is good enough and some test cases are only passing, then also you're good to go with. So topics are linked list, stack and queue. All these topics are the one which I think like the algos in the first 4 weeks do cover, because that is the only thing that I did, and I was able to solve one of the JPMC questions, and then I more focused on the maths and the prop stat part of it. So if you're coming from a finance and data profile, then I would just tell you that any friend of yours who is having who has a AlgoZenith course, he or she has bought an AlgoZenith course, take that course from him and just do first 4 weeks of DSA, practice basic questions from those first 4 weeks, and then focus on the maths part of like math side of the questionnaire, like aptitude ho gaya, prop stat ho gaya. Focus on that, how you can increase your speed at that, because they'll give you a lot more questions and they'll see that how what's your accuracy plus what's your speed. So that's more important for you because it will help you in finance also.
Thank you, Shachi. So, one more question we have from Sampan Sarkar. What is the level of preference to third year over second years in? Would any of the
Can you
panelists
repeat
like
the
to just
question?
discuss?
I didn't. Can you
The
repeat the question?
question is what is the level of preference to third year over second years in data interviews?
Should I say?
Yeah. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so I might be a bit biased in it, but there are some companies which prefer 5 year over 4 year. But there are like very few companies, so I don't think you guys should think about that right now because it's nothing you can do about it. Okay, so you just prepare like and as much like prepare for it, and like about the interview, I think it's same for 5 year and 4 year. I don't think it's much difference or priority about that. So yeah.
Okay, so any other panelists would like to fine. So I think most of the questions have been answered. So here we are near the end of this profoundly enlightening panel discussion. So panelists, do you have any fun day for our CDC Janta? Harsh, would you like to start?
I mean, like this process is like very draining. So I would just say like prepare with your friends, and like there might be times that even if you prepared very hard, your shortlist might not come even for day one, two, three. So I would just want everyone to know that it's not like you only day one, two, three have good companies. There are a lot of good companies which also come like after day three, and which have very great stipends and everything, even the work culture. So I would just say don't lose your hope and try to prepare with a group of friends. Like if you have two, three friends and you can prepare with them, then I think uh, because you guys can discuss and you can guys even can boost yourself. So it is better that way.
Okay, thank you. That was very perceptive. Shachi, would you share your thoughts?
Sure. So I would just tell you that once the process start, guys, you'll be like कि चीजें बहुत जल्दी जल्दी होंगी और बहुत fast होंगी. Once the process start, you'll be just giving tests. There will be results. You'll get all the results. One day, like day one के पहले सारी list आ जाएंगी तुम्हारे पास, and you'll get rejections, you'll get acceptance, and it will be a lot of mixed up emotions going on there. But just don't lose your heart. You will be able to pull through this very nicely, I believe. And ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है कि day one, day two, day three. That concept maybe is there kind of, and it is actually dependent on the person. It depends on person to person. So I would just say that if you find the company good, if you find that it suits your profile, just go for it. don't see that
Thank you,
it's
Shachi.
in which they, yeah, I would just say that. And all the best to all of the people who are sitting in CDC.
Thank you, Shachi. On behalf of all our CDC Janta, Ria and Akshat, would you like to share any tips and advice?
Sure. So I have personally not sat for the CDC process, but I have seen a lot, like all of my friends going through it. So I can offer only a third person view, but I will definitely say please have a support system. Do not go through your dark times or bad times alone. Don't lock yourself up in your room and just be down, just try to stay off of social media because there will be a lot of andha paisa, day zero, machaya, ye wo. And don't bog yourself down with those things. So just try to focus on getting your job done and stay off of other social medias and distractions. I would definitely like to say ki don't compromise on your profile just to get placed via CDC. Don't prepare for analytics, but then just end up taking a random SD role even though you don't want to. There are so many off-campus opportunities. I think we don't realize it because we're always surrounded by KGPNs and people of our own caliber. But yeah, LinkedIn chala, you'll get to see the amount of weightage your IIT and your KGPN tag has. Like it's immense. You'll have VPs, you'll have directors, senior people respond to your messages, give you bhav basically because you're an IITian, and it's very different because campus has a very rat race, a very monotonous type of roadmap to success as we define it. But CDC is not the end of the world. There is so much waiting for you outside of it also. So don't take it too heavily. Stay focused and remember ki you're here to gain experience. You're not here to just be done with it. It's not like you're supposed to be just relieved at the end of getting an internship. You're supposed to be satisfied as well. So don't compromise and you'll do well for sure. Yeah, KG pins ho yaar tum log. कैसे नहीं करोगे? Don't worry.
Okay, thank you, Ria. Akshat, would you like to share any advice?
Yeah, sure. So, जैसे जब when you were just preparing for CV, तो you would be having the option like तुम्हारे पास तीन option होंगे like you can just make three CVs. So majorly ये चीज याद रखना while applying on the company. So just if you are just like going for the like data profile as well as like even you have the software, so please just make two different CVs. क्योंकि उससे क्या होता है ना like if you are really good in the data part तो like you can just apply with that series in the companies, and if you are like really good in the software of other company then you can apply on that one. But अगर एक CV होता है then the company like मतलब they will be asking you the questions related to data as well as software in even the like a data company or even in the software company. तो वो CV बनाने में like just major focus on that. And KGP का जो CV वाला part है that is really bad like उसमें तुम लोग सबको बैड एक्सपीरियंस तो मिलना ही है क्योंकि वो उसमें कुछ भी चेंजेस करोगे दैट विल बी रिफ्लेक्टेड आफ्टर सम टाइम एंड मतलब उसमें बहुत दिक्कत आती है. तो जस्ट मेक सम पॉइंट्स राइट नाउ कि क्या क्या तुम सीवी में ऐड कर सकते हो, एंड आफ्टर दैट लाइक एट द टाइम ऑफ मेकिंग सीवीज like you'll be getting around 14 to 15 days to make your CV. So at the last point please don't change the CV like in the last one day के पहले बना देना like last one day अगर बचा हुआ उसके पहले प्लीज बना लेना वरना बहुत सीवी गंदा हो जाता है दूसरे का. So just focus on that part. And apart from this मतलब हो जाता है मतलब that is not anything that day one नहीं हुआ तो कुछ नहीं हुआ. As Riya said like off campus बहुत सारे opportunities होते हैं. तो like ये मत सोचो कि everything is day one because KG में ऐसा ही चलता है कि day one नहीं है तो कुछ नहीं है, nothing is there. But ऐसा नहीं होता like day three day four उसके बाद भी बहुत अच्छी अच्छी companies आती हैं which are giving really a good offers, and even off campus तुम apply कर सकते हो. So the focus on your skill part, not in the like कि दूसरे का day one लग गया और मेरा नहीं लगा. And even social media से तो बहुत दूर रहना, वो तो it's really hard अगर किसी और का like you'll be thinking that you are more deserving but he is not, and you get to know that he got placed in day one. So उस time बहुत बहुत BP होती है. So just social media से दूर रहना जब तक खुद का ना लग जाए.
Okay, thank you, Akshat. That was really insightful.
Taking this panel discussion to an end, we are grateful to the distinguished panelists for generously sharing their time, insights, and experiences with us today. We are incredibly appreciative of your contributions, which have been truly priceless. We would also like to express our sincere appreciation to the audience for attending the event on a weekend and actively participating and engaging throughout the seminar. Your participation and enthusiasm have greatly enriched this event.
We sincerely hope that the information and knowledge shared during this panel discussion will prove beneficial to all of you. Our goal was to provide valuable insights and practical takeaways, and we hope you found them to be so. With that, we conclude this session. But before we disperse, we have a brief announcement. Tomorrow, we will have the panel discussion for the consult profile. We eagerly anticipate meeting you all again and discuss the nuances of it. Thank you all very much. Take care, and we'll see you all soon.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Best of luck, everyone.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
Best of luck. Okay, bye bye.